Because reading is what?
Fundamental.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Do You Read BTS? I'm Lisa.
I'm Dila Zay. Welcome back, guys. This week we did a story called "Beautiful Little Secret" by another. It's another at Aaron Brown Wright story, and we previously reviewed a story of hers before, and we loved it so much. So we were recommended this story on Twitter, I believe, or we might have got it through email. I can't remember, but we recommended this story, and so we definitely wanted to read it and review it and let you guys know what we thought about it.
And so at the beginning of this story, it's about the girl. She
The
doesn't
girl.
have a name. You guys know we call everybody that doesn't have a name the girl.
Mm-hmm.
And she is actually an assistant to who? Bang
Bang
PD.
PD. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Bang PD. So she's super close to BTS, and she knows a lot about them, and she just works a lot behind the scenes and everything. And it just starts a story talking about how she's an assistant. She does a lot of stuff for them, and she's just now starting to have a crush on no other than my boo, JK.
Yes.
And so she's starting to develop these feelings that she knew she had but didn't know she had. Like they've been coming to get a little stronger as she sees him and stuff like that.
So one of the big things, which is always kind of common with the stories that involve people who actually work for the company, that they have rules about them dating or even being involved with any of the members of BTS.
Right.
And one of the big things is that if you're involved, you have to immediately resign because if they find out, you're gonna get fired.
Yeah.
So she has these feelings for him, but she like really tries to like keep them at bay because she knows she's gonna have to resign, and this is a good ass job, and she's not trying to do all that.
Right. And the thing that's different about this story than it was at the other story, because it was kind of the same as the other story we read.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing that's different about this is if she admittedly go and tell him, then he'll recommend her to. Is that it? Was that the other story?
Yeah, the other story was if he was gonna. Well, no, I think this story too. If you keep them, if you let them know ahead of time, they'll recommend you out to get a job with another company. But if you don't, they'll fire you and make sure you never can work again.
Oh, I thought they were different, but I guess they were the same. How ironic is that? Two different writers.
Right. I think it was. I think it was the same. Maybe it is the other story.
I don't know. But she was when she figured it out. I guess they what did they start talking right after that? Like they just kind of.
So they had a event or something like that, and they were all hanging out because they all have come to like she. I guess she low key kind of grew up with them like in a way because she's been with them since the very beginning when the company was really small. So she like has come to know them and seen them go from when they were younger to grown men. So they like are close, and I guess they had something, and they were all at the boy's house.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess it came out that like JK liked her, and she was like, "Dang, like I've been liking this boy," but
Yeah, because yes, that's what happened. That's exactly what
mm-hmm.
happened because they were on like a little bit of a break.
Yeah.
And Bang PD was like, "You need to go." Like they were having a party, they were getting like drunk. And he
Yeah.
was like, "You need to go over there and let Lisa." She wasn't even going to go because
She
she was
wasn't.
suppressing these feelings, honey.
Yeah. Oh, side note, real quick. Her and Jen are best friends. Okay,
Yes,
continue.
her and Jen are best friends, so they share a lot. Like Jen knows that she likes JK, and I think all of them pretty much know that she likes JK, but they don't never say. They never
Yeah.
tell him.
Yeah.
And so, she goes to this party. She gets drunk, and she I can't even remember what happened.
So something about like them drinking, and then like she's trying to avoid him because she
Yes.
knows she got feelings for him, and the other members know that JK has always had a crush on her. Like they
Since way
always knew
before
that.
even them.
Yeah.
Even before she started liking him, he liked her.
Yeah. And so I don't remember how it happened, but they ended up talking.
Yeah,
And
and she says to him, don't do that basically because she said, I'll do something. I don't remember.
it was kind of like like you need to calm down, boo, because you know what's gonna happen. This can never be, and type of thing, because you know I'm gonna have to quit my job. And he's like, why not? You know, I've been feeling you since the beginning. And she's like, no, boo, we can't do this shit. And he's like, let's just try it. She's like, all right.
Yeah, it was basically that.
And she was like, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go to work. I'm gonna let him know that, boom, I'll go ahead and resign. Which
Right.
that
That was crazy at the first time that they ever talked about it, because that night is when they both discovered that she liked him more than she thought she did. He had
mm-hmm.
always been liking her more than she thought he did. And then they went upstairs to talk, and then that's when they was like being kind of touchy feely, but not even like crossing the line.
Right. But
And
I think
then
they kissed, and she's like, well, I'm gonna have to say something now.
yeah, like she was just ready to just quit her job right then and there for him.
Even
And
though,
they had
which, sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
I was gonna say, even though throughout the story she's like, oh, I don't know if I love him. I'm like, girl, you was about to lose your job over him. You love him.
Exactly. That was the weirdest thing. Like the whole time she was like, I don't know if I love him, but I love him. But I don't know if I love him like that. Or he loves me more than I love him. But then the first part of the book, you was about to quit your whole job for him.
Yep, about to risk it all.
Yeah.
So they had that. Is that the night they actually become like boyfriend and girlfriend, or do
Yeah.
they? Okay,
They became girlfriend and boyfriend like with the quickness.
yeah. So then she's like, all right, so boom, tomorrow I'm gonna go to the office. I'm gonna do all this stuff, and I'm gonna let Mr. PD know that I'm going to quit, or I'm gonna resign. So she's got all this stuff planned, and then she like gets everything set because she's his assistant. She goes into work, and she's getting ready to give her resignation. Oh, JK goes with her, so she's getting ready to give her resignation, and Bank PD promotes her
Yeah.
to tour manager.
Before she could say anything.
Yeah. So he promotes her to tour manager. She's like, well, I mean, this is an amazing opportunity. I don't know what the hell I'm doing, but sure, why not? Like, this is not what I
Uh-huh.
came for, but cool. We'll do this and we'll figure out the rest later.
Which JK was okay with that because he didn't want her to resign anyway.
Right. None of them did because she's been with them for so long.
Right. And the whole time he was like, you don't know if that's what he's going to do. He's not going to make you resign. You've been with us forever.
She's like, no, bro. Like, I've seen him tell people they had to leave. Because I guess, again, which kind of was funny because this was in the last story too. Hobie had a thing with somebody and they ended up having to
Uh-huh.
end up having to fire her.
Uh-huh.
And that's how it was in the other story. But anyway, so everybody's kind of waiting to hear back about her resignation. And she ends up coming, I think it was to like a practice room or some type of rehearsal or something. And they were like, oh, well, what happened? And she's like, I got promoted, so I'm your tour manager now.
Yep. And they were like, yep. Yeah.
And at the party there was not just the boys and her, it was also other people of the staff. So
Uh-huh.
she was worried initially that they would say something, but I guess like they were all pretty cool and they were like, you know what, this is y'all's business and we're not going to say anything, so do what you got to do, girl. And that was
Right.
kind of that.
But they still was kind of still being like secretive.
Discreet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
they
she
were.
was more, and JK was more like, I don't care. And she was more like, I care, so back off.
Right. So one of the things too about this story is apparently she's older than JK, but we don't know by how much. But it's something
Uh-huh.
that kind of comes up pretty often where she'll say, "Oh, is it because I'm older than him?" Like when she's talking to other people about it, it's something that comes up, but we never really know if it's like 2 years, if it's like 8 years. We just don't know.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And so I guess shortly after that, they kind of start seeing each other more and more. He starts coming over to her house and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Girl, which on that part where he was like, I ran all the way over here.
Oh
And he
yeah.
didn't have no shirt on.
Oh yeah. That was. I think that was like later on in.
I'm sorry, but I had
No,
to look
no,
like
it's fine. It's fine. Cause the visual, I was like, "Yep, I could
yes,
see it."
yes. Oh my god.
She's like,
Especially after that performance with the Black Swan, honey. You could see everything.
"Girl,
You could see everything through that see-through shirt. Yeah.
right? Yep."
So anyway, so I guess he kind of just came and started hanging out with her, and she would go and hang out with him at the house.
Mm-hmm. And they were trying to like stay away from each other in the sense of not having sex because it was actually before that. They were trying to have like their first kiss be cute. They were trying to have their first like time together to be meaningful and not in a certain situation. But eventually, it just kind of happened. Like,
Yeah, because that's that time when he was like practicing, and she was like, you know, well, I'm getting tired of this. You know, she's a more mature woman, so
right,
she was just like, I'm feeling it. I'm a little horny, and so I'm gonna put this whole get up on and take a picture and ask him if he want to come over.
right, because they had planned a trip to go somewhere.
Yeah,
Together to have sex, pretty much. Like
yeah, they
that
had
was
a
the whole
weekend
point.
trip planned.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was the whole point of the trip. So
but she didn't want to wait no
she
longer.
didn't feel like waiting. She was like, "It'll
And he
still."
wasn't right. He wasn't a virgin, and she wasn't a virgin.
Right. And she's like, "It'll still be special, but I need this dick right now." So,
Like now, like right now,
like right
immediately.
now.
So she put this whole like necklace shade, cute little thing on, and she took a picture and sent a message like, "Don't you want to? No, come over tonight."
Mm-hmm.
And so he took a while to message back, but then when he did, she could tell that he was
Mm-hmm.
uh kind
Mm-hmm.
of stuttering about it. And she was like, "What did you think about the picture?" And then he showed who he showed, Numb Dude or something. he
He
was com- he
he
was
said
confused.
he said he showed Yoongi, but then he was like, "I'm kidding, I didn't show him." But he's like, she knew that that Yoongi knew that he got a suggestive or provocative picture because of his reaction, because he
Oh
made
my
a
god!
response out loud.
Can't you just picture this reaction now?
Girl, girl. I was like, "Ooh, I can see this happening."
Yes.
So,
So he comes over that night,
mm-hmm,
and they pretty much decide that they about to get it on that night.
mm-hmm.
And then they like getting all hot and heated and doing all the mostest. And then he says, "Oh, I don't have a condom."
And she's like, "No worries, boo, I got you." She goes to her cabinet, she goes to look, and she ain't got no condoms neither.
Girl, I would have been pissed off. First of
Man.
all, I know there's a store around the corner.
Right? Like, there's got to be a corner store somewhere.
Yes, yes. But then they decide she was like, oh, you know, after she go looking for that condom and can't find it nowhere, and just realized that she threw them out because they was expired.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, oh, we can do other things. So they did other things.
Mm-hmm. The way that the smut is written is really good, as
Yeah.
it always is. Like, it was very detailed, and yes, yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes. So they did other things because JK was like, "Well, maybe this is a sign that we should wait for the weekend," and she's like, "I guess whatever. I mean, okay, like we can
Girl, I'm
wait."
sorry. I'm so sorry. We would have had to. I couldn't have waited.
Ah!
I'm so sorry. I could not have waited.
But I think he was worried because she wasn't on birth control at the time. And I think he was concerned that he wouldn't pull out. So she was like, "You know what? We'll go ahead and wait. Like, not ideal, but okay." So they ended up doing other stuff, and then they waited till their weekend together to have sex.
Mm-hmm.
So they go away to somewhere. I can't remember where they went, but they get this hotel. It's really nice, and they're in the hotel together, and they're like already preparing because this is going to be the sex weekend. Like that was going to happen,
Right.
and he wants to take pictures of her. And this is like their interaction is really cute because he's like thinks she's just so beautiful, and she's like, I think you're beautiful, you're awesome, you're handsome, and he's like, no, you. But he takes all these pictures of her, and she's like getting dressed in her little lingerie and trying to be sexy but also trying to be like normal, and he's just snapping pictures of her while this is happening. And
Oh.
yeah, and he's like, oh, this will be for my own collection or our collection or whatever. And she's like, okay, cool.
Girl, when I read that, I knew it was wrong.
Ah!
When I read that, I was like, oh my God, like, oh, somebody gonna see it.
I kept thinking the same thing. That was one of my, I'm like, this is going to be the thing that exposes them.
Yes.
It's like somebody's going to find his camera, somebody's going to, and that's just going to be it. Well, they do that, and they have a lot of sex while at the hotel. Things are great, magical, and all that.
Such good smut.
Such good smut.
Oh my God, it was so good.
It was. I was like, "Ooh, yes, this is great." So they do that, and then they end up leaving, but they end up becoming like somewhat closer. But they have sex all the time,
Like a lot.
a lot.
I loved it.
I did too. I'm like, what did they? They'd be like, so and so walked into a room. They had sex. You'd be like, did they again?
Yeah.
It's just been 20 minutes. Okay.
It just went down.
Mm-hmm.
So pretty much they get back and they return to their regular lives. Him with BTS, her doing that, trying to be the tour manager plus take care of the assistant job until he finds somebody to take over her job.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's doing all this stuff. She's getting busy, and days going by. They're really not seeing each other as much, but they still kind of see each other. But then they start finding like little ways to see each other.
Mm-hmm. And I don't remember at what point this was, but I'm just thinking of the scene when he invited her down to his studio,
Yep.
the GC.
I was going right to that, girl.
Yes. And he was showing on the screen the pictures that he had taken of her. Like she came in and she saw those on the screen, and she was like, "Oh, why didn't you do this in your room?" And I guess he explained to her that his door locks aren't great, and that Jimin and Taek know how to unlock it without even like trying.
Yeah,
So
he had just gotten that studio.
Yeah, so he was like, I want to do this in the studio. But they get it in the studio.
In the studio.
That reminds me, do you remember that T-Pain song? It's like studio, it's called Studio Love.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I thought of.
Yep.
So they get in the studio, and then as they're like getting ready to leave, Namjoon's outside the door.
Mm-hmm. And I could just see Namjoon something, boy. When you open that door, I know what y'all was doing.
Right.
And then he was like, was you out here just like listening because the studio is soundproof, but this door is not.
Right.
And then Namjoon really wasn't paying no attention, but he pretty much gave himself away when he was telling him that.
Yeah, because he's like, I've only been out here for a few seconds, man. He's like, oh, but now that you said that, I see that y'all was up to no good.
Yeah. And then he said, oh, by the way, Bang PD wants to see you.
Mm-hmm.
So she all scared, and I'm all scared over here too.
Me too. I was like, this is it. This happened quickly.
Yeah, I'm like, dang, this is about to end fast.
Mm-hmm.
So she goes up to his office, and he finds a replacement for her.
Mm-hmm.
As the assistant, and she's just strictly doing tour manager.
Which was messed up though, because she had been searching for candidates, interviewing people, doing all this stuff, and he ended up going with none of those people and chose somebody internally. I think it was internal. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
somebody who she didn't think should have had the job.
Right.
They start going on tour, right? They did all this work. They start going on tour.
I think. Wait, did they go to Busan before this tour started?
Didn't they have a weekend before they left? Yes.
Okay. So they have like a weekend or a break or something before they're about to go on tour, and they're asking kind of everybody what you're gonna do, and I think Jen said he was gonna go like hiking or something or something to that effect. And JK decides to be like, I'm going to Busan and I'm taking her with me. And so the girl's like, did you just say that you're taking, like, what's wrong with you?
Exactly.
Are you crazy? And Bang PD's like, oh, that's cool. You're gonna go to Busan. You've never been, right? Like, okay, you need to go. Have a good time. Enjoy it, whatever. And she's freaking out the whole time. I'm freaking out. She freaking out. I'm sure you was freaking out.
Yes, girl. Because in my head, when I read that, I'm like, okay, he know what's going on with this.
Exactly. That's what I felt like throughout the whole story. I was like, he has to know.
Right.
So as they're kind of like talking about the trip because she's gonna meet his family. I mean, she's met his family before, but like not as his girlfriend. And so she's like freaking out because again, she's like, "Am I too old for you? Like, is it gonna be a thing for the age?" He's like, "My mom's older than my dad. It's fine, girl. Like, don't trip." And so they're talking about going. He's like, "Well, do your parents know about me, or do your friends know about me?" And he's like, she tells him no, and he feels a little bit of type of way, but she starts to explain as to why and all that stuff. So he's like, I get it.
Yeah.
So she ends up meeting his family. The trip goes well. I feel like we got here really fast. Wow.
She does end up meeting a family. The trip goes well. Then they go, like, the brother doesn't live there. The brother lives somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
And they staying at his childhood home. And so the parents go to bed, and their room is down the hall, and then his room is upstairs. I mean, like, it's up there with them.
Mm-hmm.
And they get in the bed, and he has Buzz Lightyear sheets. And I, have a quick laugh about that. And then she was like, he basically was like, "Is it wrong for us to do what we do in my parents' house?"
Right.
And she was like, "I was thinking that too."
Right.
Like,
And
so,
he pretty much is like, well, you just got to be real quiet, girl.
mm-hmm.
And she's like, I guess okay, I'll try. Which so okay, so he ends up pretty much she's damn near naked, and he's in between her legs, and he's going to work. But this is the night that he feels like he wants to try some extra stuff, so he applies pressure to her booty hole and starts to kind of like rub around while he's going on in the front.
Right.
But telling her she needs to be quiet.
Right.
The
I'm like,
nerve.
we doing some extra stuff, and you want me to be quiet?
Right. We ain't never done this, and this is the time that you want to try and experiment. Oh, okay.
Right.
So she nuts, and they go to bed.
Yeah. He was like, I just wanted to please you.
Mm-hmm. So they wake up in the morning and they go to the beach and have a cute like day there because he wanted to see the sunset. They do a bunch of other things. They go to like a bookstore and some other stuff. And I think that night they end up having dinner with the family again. As the brother comes back into town, did they cook dinner together? I think they cooked dinner together.
Yeah, they did, because that's when she started, wanting to cook more.
Yeah. And she keeps expecting them to bring up the like, what are your intentions with our son type of conversation, but it doesn't ever really happen.
Because he got cool young parents.
Yeah. And so they're just like, you seem to make him happy. He looks, you guys look cute together. It is what it is. So that trip goes by, they end up leaving, but they feel closer, like as their relationship is maturing, things are changing. And before they leave to go back, his mom hugs her and she tells her to take care of him. Like, that's so cute.
And he said, "My mom loves you."
Right. She's like, I don't know. And he's like, no, she does. Like, it's cool. So at some point,
I wish that was me.
girl, you're so silly. At some point, like, her and Jen have a conversation about JK's feelings, and he pretty much is like, yeah, girl, he's like in love with you. And she's like, wait, what? He's in love with me? I don't know if I'm ready for that. I don't know if I feel that way about him. I don't know, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, you definitely do. You're in denial. So that conversation happens at some point. And then after this trip, I think it kind of got her to thinking even more.
Right, and then when he actually does tell, because I'm just kind of skipping around,
That's fine.
and then when he actually does tell her that he loves her, she freaking has a panic attack.
She has a panic attack. Oh,
And then it freaks him out because he's like, "You just had a full on panic attack because I told you I loved you."
right. And
And then,
she's good.
uh and then he is, she tried to explain to him how she felt and that she didn't know she loved him. Like she felt like she was falling in love with him, and she didn't know she loved him. Which to me, that was just crazy because if you fall in love with somebody, then you got to love them first.
You are about to quit your whole job over this
Yes.
man. Yes, you love the fuck out of him.
Mm-hmm.
Like from day
And so he
one.
begins to tell her that he's been loving her a very long time. And like so long ago, and y'all, they put this in there when they was talking about. Remember when it was JK's birthday? I know everybody's seen this. When it was
Yes.
JK's birthday, and then they were being really mean to him or whatever, and kind of like bullying him a little bit. And then they surprised him with the cake and stuff, and he was crying and stuff. Well, she had put it in the book where before that they told him that it was a surprise, we know it's your birthday, blah blah blah. He went outside and he was like mad.
Yeah, because he thought everybody forgot his birthday.
Right.
And they're giving him a ton of shit for it.
Mm-hmm. And
So,
so that's when in that day, when she told him happy birthday, he realized that, or he thought she was the only one to know that it was his birthday at that time. And then that's when he knew he was in love with her. Oh no, they just basically talked about how he would not say that he loved her
oh,
again.
I remember. Wait, one thing. Now I remember what I was gonna say. So
Uh-huh.
when they were like kind of talking about it, he. I think it was like in the beginning, or it might have been during this conversation, but he said his feelings for her were bottomless.
Oh my God.
Right?
That is so
That
sweet.
is so sweet. If anybody ever said that to me, I would start crying
Yes.
immediately.
I'm about
Like
to go tell
bottomless.
I'm about to go tell my husband that. See what that get me.
Oh my gosh, record his reaction. That'll be so cute. Oh,
Oh,
that would be so
he'll be
cute.
like, okay, I love you too. He
Right, like
already
girl, go sit down somewhere. You doing too much. Yeah, so he tells her that at some point, and she's like, "Oh, okay, well, we'll see where this goes." So now it's getting ready for the tour to start. She's really doing a lot of stuff for it to make sure everything runs smoothly. Her she There's a part in it where she's kind of getting into it with the artistic directors because they're trying to do something that she thinks is a horrible idea, and she's like going off about it, but she's second guessing her job. So she's kind of getting a little bit of the imposter syndrome, where she doesn't feel like she deserves the position that she's in because she doesn't feel like she knows what she's doing, but everybody tells her she's doing such a great job and that she doesn't need to feel that way. And her and Bang PD end up having a conversation about it that kind of like helps her out a little bit. But then they end up going on tour, and she's like, you know what? The feelings are developing with JK, like things are happening, and she's like, I'm gonna go ahead and resign after the tour.
right.
So that's the plan. So they go on their first dates. Things are kind of going smoothly, um, as far as like the tour is concerned. And I remember one of the parts she was doing a lot for that day because she was gonna have to be in the stadium or the arena or whatever, and she wasn't getting much sleep. And so one of the staff members were telling her, "Go ahead and go to sleep." So she goes to go to sleep, and she's like knocked out. Well, somebody's like trying to wake her up, and she notices that somebody's kissing her. Everybody's in the room, and
Yes.
he's kissing her, and she's like freaking out. So she low key goes on, well, not even low key. She goes off on him, and
Yeah.
then they don't talk to each other for days.
But we forgot to mention that she went off on him before they went to Busan too for saying that.
Oh yeah, she sure
Because she
did.
was like, you can't be doing that. Like, I'm in this position where if I get caught, blah, 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 blah. So she didn't fuss him out. That's the second time.
That's true. That is true. And I know there's a
Mm-hmm.
conversation at some point where he was like, "Well, what do you like? What would you want to have happen?" And she's like, "I'd like to keep my job."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Well, that's real. I mean, I get it."
Right. It's a good job too.
Right. Got promoted, you know, she's like probably making really good money.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah, so she goes off on him about that, and he's in his feelings about it. So they don't talk to each other for a couple of days, which she's like upset about it because she really misses him, but she's like, "Who, I can get some work done and not have to
Right,
worry about him."
and does.
Mhm. So, eventually they end up talking because they're all getting their hair done. All the members are getting their hair done, and I guess at some point her and him had a conversation about him dyeing his hair blue, like dark blue. And so Jen calls her on the walkie-talkie and tells her to come to the room. So she sees their hair. Jen has blonde hair, and JK ends up having that pink reddish hair
Uh-huh.
that he
I love
had.
that hair.
So she sees his hair and it has no words
Uh-huh.
because she's just in awe. And so she decides, like, let me go sit down somewhere because I'm about to do something stupid in front of
Uh-huh.
everybody. So she goes and sits next to Hobie and starts texting JK, telling him how good he looks and all this other stuff. And Hobie's telling her, like, girl, you're being super
Right.
obvious. So she leaves so that she can text him. And she's like, "Oh, do you know what I want to do to you right now?" Blah 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 blah. And he's like, "Oh, word."
So they
So
basically meet out in the in a little closet somewhere.
yeah, and they get it in real quick, and all the dye is running down his little
Yeah,
neck.
they have a quick conversation about being mad at each other, then they make up.
Yeah, it was real quick.
Mm-hmm.
And so I kept thinking during that part, I was like, somebody's gonna walk in,
Mm-hmm.
somebody's gonna open that door, like they're gonna get caught. There were so many times that I thought they were gonna get caught.
Yes, honey.
I was so nervous.
So so
Okay.
then isn't it like right after that? That's when he got sick with food poisoning.
Yeah. Yeah, he got sick. I forgot where they were at, but he got food
Mm-hmm.
poisoning.
And so she went to be with him while he was sick.
Mhm.
Like first she was like, "Do I need to be?" Well, I guess Namjoon had texted her and asked her, "Are you sick too?" Because your boy over here sick. And she was like, "Oh no, I'm not sick, but what's going on?" And he told her he don't know what's going on. He been throwing up, blah 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 blah. So she
Mhm.
constipate. Did you hear her?
Mhm.
She thinks about going to see him, and she's like, "Oh no, I don't want to make it obvious." But then the more she thinks about it, she ends up going anyway.
Mhm.
So she goes and she be with him while he's sick and all that stuff, trying to get him better. Well, matter of fact, he was still in practice when she pulled up, and she
Mhm.
had went to the store and got all this like medicine and stuff like that. So when he got back to the room, she was already there, and she just stayed with him the whole time, and it was so sad. Bless his little heart.
I know.
So she like put the
Mm.
coat pack on him and stuff like that. She kind of just stayed by him and helped him. He threw up, and I knew he was stinking. Ugh, smelled like
Yeah, you know.
puke. Ugh. It was just, but it
Mm.
was so sweet. She was just really there for them. And the next day he was still sick, but kind of getting better, but not better. Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
And then the manager CGN came. CGN is so fine. I love him.
Okay.
I love him. But
Same.
like I stand him a little bit. But anyway.
Yeah. No, I do too.
So he just comes in, he knocks at the door and they don't answer it or whatever. And he keep knocking. He was like screaming at him like, open the door. Like, oh, I'm about to knock this door down. Like, you need to open the door. Cause he
Mhm.
was sick, nobody could get in touch with him. So she just
Mhm.
got up, and kindly unlocked the door. And he like, oh,
What you
what you
doing here,
doing
girl?
here? Or whatever. And then that's when JK was like, "Oh, I'm good. I can, I'm good or whatever." And I guess that's when he realized that they were together. And then she was
Mhm.
like, "Oh
Eh,
no, no, I'm gonna resign after the tour." And he was good with that. He
Mhm.
was like, "Okay." And
Mhm.
so they
Cuz she felt like he was going to be the one that was going to rat her out
right,
if anybody.
right,
So,
which he didn't. He was cool like
yeah.
everybody else. Everybody was cool
Yeah,
about
everybody was good with the whole discretion thing. Like nobody was like pressed to to rat her out. They all wanted her to keep her job because at the end of the day, she was really good at her
Right. And
job.
everybody loved her. She had been there forever.
Right. So nobody wanted to see her go like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, see, after he gets better, they keep touring. I know there's like some complications with like just tour stuff.
They have a lot of
Yeah,
sex. Just like a
yeah,
lot of it. Like a whole lot.
yeah. The detail is just great. Like I was telling Lisa earlier that I noticed in a common thing in a lot of these fanfics is like fingering is like a thing, like a heavy thing. Which is like cool. Everybody's got their thing. But I was like, I noticed that's kind of like a big thing. But I don't know if it's just because it's easier to describe
Yeah.
or what.
It's
But
good
yeah. And
description, but not my thing.
yeah, it's a good description. Like it's very entertaining to read. But I was just like, I had noticed the commonality that a lot of these stories have the same type of thing. But
And
anyway,
no doggy style. That made me mad. I needed some doggy style, girl. There was no doggy style at all up in the story.
yeah. I think the next big thing that happens is with the picture that he posted. Was there anything?
Oh my god. Mm. So they were together. They was having lots of sex. It was a mutual thing. Everybody knew about that. What was going on with them? They just didn't talk about it, but they all knew about it. And they were in the hotel room. And at that time, they just really was just always together at this point during tour. And
Mm-hmm.
I guess she had on a robe, and he had his back turned in the chair, and she took a picture of him, and it turned out to be a really good picture, and he loved the picture. And so, without thinking, he just posted the freaking picture. It made me so mad at JK for doing this.
I
And
know. I'm
y'all
like,
know,
dang.
JK cannot do no wrong to me. Okay, and nothing. But this made me mad at him.
Yeah, because he posted the picture and her reflection and everything's all up in it.
Yeah.
And you could see her in her
Right. And
robe.
then like BTS will start like they had a little group chat and she was in it. And they was like, oh my
Mm-hmm.
God, did you like they would ask her, did you really look at the picture? Look at the picture again. And then she was like, what are you talking about? And they was like, he just posted this picture online on the BTS Twitter. And she looked and she was like, "Oh my God!" He was in the bathroom taking a shower. He was like, "What?" She was like, "Did you post that picture?" And he was like, "Yeah, what?" Not even thinking about it. But that's what JK did. You got to think about it. He was young now. He done a lot of not thinking about stuff. Remember the kiss, then the
Mm-hmm.
Busan
Mm-hmm.
trip, talking out loud,
Mm-hmm.
and now this.
He didn't think twice.
Right. And she was like, "Did you?" She was like, "Look at the picture." He was like, "Oh my God." And so the next thing Namjoon was like, we gotta talk to the boss.
Yep. Damage
Yeah.
control.
And
Well,
this is when
go ahead.
this is when the story started taking a sad turn.
A very sad and quick turn. You're
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
dang.
And so, she feeling the same way that she has been feeling the whole entire time, saying, I'm gonna be fired. I already know what he's gonna
Mm-hmm.
do. And they like, no, you don't know. You've been with us forever. And everybody was like,
He wouldn't do that
he
to
wouldn't do that
you.
to you.
They will see. This is when hyping your friends up goes
Right.
bad because she probably started to believe that a little
Yep.
bit, you know?
And so
So, yeah.
they have this meet. They all get together in this little meeting, and they all was like talking to Bang PD, and they was like, "We think you should just not say anything. Let's just not talk about it." And he was like,
Right.
"That's definitely not what's gonna happen."
Right. We're not doing that,
Bang
but thanks for
PD
your
got real
suggestion.
ruthless real quick. Go ahead,
Mm-hmm.
Diluza.
He said, "Yeah, we're not doing that, but thanks for your
Mm-hmm.
suggestion. What we're actually gonna do is we're gonna play it like this,
And she already
which
knew. She already knew the game plan.
she already
She told
knew,
them the game plan before he even said it.
right?" And they were like, "No, that's not gonna happen." And sure enough, that's exactly what
Yep.
happened. He was like, "Yeah, girl, you got to
Yep.
go. Like, I don't. It's been real. You've been a great worker for me, but you can't be
Right,
here."
and he was so
So
ruthless, y'all. Like so,
yeah.
like they were mad at him because they was like, "How could you do this to her? She's been here
Mm-hmm.
forever." He was like, "Well, if you're really thinking about it, how can she do this to me?" Like,
Mm-hmm.
damn.
I mean, honestly though, and she said it from the
Yeah,
beginning. She's like, he don't play that shit, and like, if we do this, it's gonna be all bad. Like, I'm gonna have to resign
yeah,
because if he finds out later, it's gonna be all downhill, and that's exactly what it
yeah.
was.
Because in the story, how they were talking like it's Bam PD about that money, honey. And
Mm-hmm.
when
He
we
don't care
talking
about
like
none
we
of
was
that
like we was talking. Remember we
longevity.
was texting the other day, and I was like, well, big hit got to get their money, so
Yeah.
they gotta get their money.
Yeah.
So basically, he told her, yeah, so you got to go, and
Mm-hmm.
when you get to the airport, they're gonna take pictures of you, and we're gonna have a car waiting for you, and we're gonna take you to this hotel, or we're gonna take you wherever, and you're gonna get the brunt of this, and that's just what it was.
Right. We're gonna make this look like this, and that, and it's like, dang, like they really were trying to. The way that he had kind of made it out to seem was make her look like the bad guy that like, um, wow, I can't think of the word. Um,
She took the fall.
yeah, but I'm thinking of like they try to make it seem like she like preyed on him, kind
Yeah,
of. And so she was like, all right, I mean, I figured this would
and then
happen, like,
she was
whatever. This is not
older.
cool.
Oh, and
Mm-hmm.
you got to think we're talking about Korea now.
I just wish I knew her how old she was, because if this was like a she was a year older, I'm gonna feel some type of way, because the way that it like it kept being explained, it made it seem like it she had to be up there a little bit, I guess, because she was started as an
I
intern,
feel like her
and
and
then
Jen was around the same age,
okay, that would make sense.
but
That would make sense.
in Korea, women aren't normally older than the men. They kind of don't
True.
like that there. This ain't no age, ain't nothing but number America stuff, you know.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Like that's just how they look at it, you know. And that's why when when they were talking about when JK was explaining when he was on that brothers thing and he was talking explaining how his mom was older than his dad, it was like a big thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So that's like, yeah. So she
Hmm.
was a good little bit older than him if she was like where Jen was at.
Yeah, that would make sense though, because they were best friends, so it would make sense that they were the same age or
Mm-hmm.
close to the same age. So yeah, she gets off the plane, it goes down. She's like, this absolutely sucks. And she's kind of like sulking and being upset about how
Girl,
everything
this
went down.
this was the worst scene because before she even left to get on this plane, Jen and her, it was her, Jen, and Jen and JK in the cab together. Now we didn't mention that Jen and her are such close friends that they like soulmates. Like they consider themselves
Oh yeah, we left that part
yeah, like they
out.
considered themselves soulmates. Like basically how Jen was explaining this was I love you, but I don't love you the way JK love you.
Right.
And Jen has not ever been in a relationship where he felt attached enough to love anybody like they do. Like he could
Right.
have sex with somebody and have no emotional attachment to him at all.
Yeah, he was explaining that to her, saying that he doesn't think he can feel those things.
Right. So he also explained to her that he could potentially see them together as like partners, like they could be together, but he could never love her like that. You know what I
Right.
mean?
That was such a sad. Just the whole like. Anyway,
Girl, when they
go
was in
ahead.
that cab and they was going to the airport, that was the saddest thing because JK was crying. She was
Mhm.
crying. Jen was crying.
Mhm.
Oh my God. It was just it was such an emotional scene. So
Yeah.
she got off this airplane, after, all these hours of flying back to Korea. And then everybody's there taking pictures of her. I know calling her all kind of names. Like it was just
Mhm.
horrible. They picked her up at Bain PD and a driver, maybe? Oh,
Probably a driver.
a
Yeah.
lawyer picked her up, took her to a raggedy motel, not even a hotel,
Right.
motel, and made her sign an NDA.
I feel like they did the most with that. Like I don't think they needed to put her up in a raggedy hotel. Like I feel like they could have put her in a nice place, but I think it was kind of like an out of spite thing. Like, well, you tried me, so I'm
Yeah,
gonna try you too,
yeah,
girl.
because I don't know. I kind of look at it both ways. Like he was ruthless to her, and he didn't have to be that ruthless to her, but also I could see what he expected more of her because he gave her so much trust.
That's true, and she knew the rules,
Right.
but she did to she tried to do the right
She
thing.
did,
She really
but she
did,
didn't know.
and yeah, she did and she didn't. Yeah, I mean, yeah,
Uh-huh.
that's true. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
So she goes to this hotel room, and oh no, no! Before she even get to the hotel room, after she signed the NDA, that's when the lawyer starts to tell her, "Oh yeah, by the way, your phone was hacked. His phone was hacked. Everything is exposed now. Like you guys pictures that y'all took privately, because we only explained to y'all one set of pictures that he's taking of her.
Oh
He's
yeah.
taken a
Mhm.
bunch of pictures of them. They even take pictures of them having sex with each other. Like, you know how you
Mhm.
set up a camera and it just takes selective pictures the whole time.
Mhm.
So they had so many pictures together with them having sex, her giving him a blowjob, him giving her head, like all kind of pictures, and all of these
Them pictures was in the story. You're like, damn, this probably was
good
good.
pictures. Yeah, because you know what, she said they were edited pictures that he had edited, and they were so beautiful.
Yeah.
So all these pictures, all these messages, and everything that was on their phone or that he had it on his iCloud or whatever they had was exposed. And
Mhm. So everybody could
right,
see.
and this hacker that hacked her exposed her a little bit day by day.
Mhm. What a mess.
Yes, it was horrible. So she in this hotel
Oh
room,
man, poor
she
girl.
all depressed. She had to go get a new phone, and people looking at her crazy, even when she stepped out of the motel to get like a new SIM card for her phone. That's when she
Mhm.
called JK and told him how bad it was. JK feeling like total crap because in reality, it really was his fault.
Yeah,
It really was his fault. But she loved him.
she did.
She told him, basically, I'm a little mad at you, but I love you this much.
Right. I don't know. I don't know. There's a lot of the story. I'm like, I don't think I could have done it.
Girl, I would have been so mad at him. I am not gonna lie. Because I guess you could see his youth
Mm.
while doing this stuff. Because I didn't already fussed you out a couple of times.
Right. When you gonna learn?
Yes.
Mm.
And so JK feeling super bad about this. They all still on tour. And basically
Mhm.
before all that happened, he was like, well, I just want to go on tour. And they was like, you
Right.
have to go on tour, like you signed this contract. He was like, well,
Right. You
that
thought.
don't mean I gotta go and sing. I go on the stage and just stand there.
Right. And they're like, you can't do
Yeah.
like not the management, but like the other members and they're you can't do
No,
that
it was
because the
her.
fans
It
and
was her that said, but what
oh
about your
yeah.
your fans expect
Yeah.
more.
And he's like, well, I'll just because initially he was like, well, I'll just quit. And they was like, no, you won't.
Yep.
He's like, well, I just won't perform. They're like, you won't do that
Yep.
either. So
But he felt
here,
so bad on this tour, which he should have felt.
yeah, because she lost her whole, she like lost everything.
Yes, in a matter of minutes. And not only
Yeah,
that, her mom and dad, I don't know if we mentioned, we talked about how her mom and dad was, but we didn't talk about how they truly was. Like they basically disowned her because she didn't go with somebody that they wanted her to be with.
yeah, and they didn't feel like her job was like a real job or like a um something that was gonna be beneficial. Like initially, I guess they thought it was like a joke. Like they didn't take that seriously at all.
Right.
So yeah, and then she didn't go with the person that they wanted. So they didn't really talk. I think it was like a year ago that it was like her birthday was the last time they spoke. That had been over a
Mm-hmm.
year.
So that
And she was like, well, I'm not going to deal with them. They're not dealing with me. I'm not going to reach out.
right. So
But then she ended up sending him an email or whatever later
yeah, she
on.
sent them an email before she even went on tour and told them
Yeah.
she was doing well, she was going on tour, blah blah blah. But they never responded back.
Right.
And then, and she's all into this depressed mode, and everything's going so bad for her. Oh my god, it was just so sad. All this stuff that
Mm-hmm.
was just going so bad, and then they got back off a tour, and after they got off a tour, that's when JK came straight to her, and then they was happy for a little bit, but not that often.
A little
A
bit.
little bit. And then that's when they decided that Bang PD was like, okay, we ready to see y'all both in there. Now they going in here thinking in this meeting that Bang PD is going to openly tell the world that they're in a relationship. Because that's what they want.
Nope.
Nope.
Right.
Because Bang PD is ruthless.
Right. He's like, nope. In fact, we have another girl from this other company,
Emma.
and we're gonna act like you guys are together, and you guys are gonna have to do X, Y, and Z, and that's just gonna be that.
Right. So in the contract, they were supposed to be together for 6 dates.
Mm-hmm.
And so he basically said yes to it, and then she was pissed off that he just said yes to it real quick.
Right.
And so she he was like, why you I guess JK just didn't know at that time how to say no. He didn't know his own power.
Right. Yeah, because he felt like he was required to do that, and that she was like, you could have fought it, and he's like, oh, I thought I had to do this because blah blah blah, and so there was a tip for that, and she felt some type of way about it because obviously, like, that's your boyfriend, and he's now gonna have to pretend to be in a relationship with some other girl.
Mm-hmm.
So that happens, and I don't remember. I just remember the part where Namjoon and
Yugi.
Yoongi,
Mm-hmm.
that they were talking to her about the contract and the stipulations and what they made and why JK signed it and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
because they came to apologize to her. And
Yeah, because they felt bad.
we feel responsible because we should have told him how much
Right.
power he had, and that he didn't. He said we always talk about how much is the greater the group, the greater the team, or whatever. But we never talk about the great of yourself for
Mm-hmm.
yourself, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so they felt bad for that, and then they started telling him, you know, they had already told him about this, and they having that discussion with him. And then she hears that knock on the door, and here's JK,
Mm-hmm.
and JK pretty much tells her that that he had another meeting with them.
Mm-hmm.
And go ahead, D was like,
So he tells them he had another meeting with them and lets her know, like, this is what I asked for because what the initial contract stated I wasn't cool with. And I told them that we have to have this, this, and this in order for it to be cool. And if they choose not to, then I'll let them be sued.
yeah.
I was like, okay,
Okay,
let them
JK.
be sued.
Mm-hmm.
He came through with that. He was like, that's right, I do got some power.
Right.
I shouldn't be this blurry on it, but I am.
Well, after that, he disagrees to go on so many days with him with her. Period.
Yeah.
But then, what was the other stipulation? It was another.
It was something that they had to agree to, like the girl had to agree to too, because remember they was like, we're gonna have them go on these dates, and she was like, no, that's not gonna work. And they're like, well, why not? And she's like, because that's, I think it was something like she had to be a part of it
Yeah, he was
as
basically
well
telling
to
them,
approve.
if we don't do it this way, then I'm just gonna take her on every one of my dates, and you can't tell me I can't
Yeah.
do that.
Right.
So basically, after that, they start going on those dates, and she kind of just sticking by, you know, because she know he going on these dates. And then he comes back to her, and he kind of tells her about what's going on in the day. So they kind of still
Right.
dating and still, you know, still doing their thing, having some good sex still, you know.
Right.
And he's going on these dates with her. Okay, by maybe like the third date, he came home, and she was like, oh, how was it, how was the date, like everybody want to know how was the date.
Mm-hmm.
JK start telling her, oh yeah, it was great. And he's smiling, looking like she's looking like, why is he smiling so hard about this date with this girl?
Right. It's
And
supposed to be fake, and he seemed a little too
you seem
happy.
a little too happy. I know I would have been looking like that too, girl. And
Mm-hmm.
then he was like, oh yeah, we just talked about you the whole time. She's like, oh my God. No, he didn't. What did you say? Start telling her everything about this his own girlfriend. And she's like, you telling the enemy
Mm-hmm.
of a whole nother company about me? And he was like, what was I supposed to do? And she looking at him like, oh my God, like I can't keep doing this.
Right.
I can't keep doing this with you.
She like, you keep putting me in these situations and I can't take it.
Yes, but then he showed his youth again, you know?
Yeah. I felt that though, because I'm like, dang, again? Like, come
Right,
on, bro.
right. And so after that, she was like, you know what, I'm just gonna get out of here if I say something I don't want to say.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I thought everything I was doing was right. And she was like, no, why would you do that? And BTS in the back, like, oh God. They all in the back, like, oh my God, like we can't win. I guess does he apologize to her? They kind of get over it a little bit.
A little bit,
And
yeah.
then after a while, they still going on these dates. And she just agreed. They both just agreed, okay, go on these dates, but don't tell me anything when you get back. So this last time comes to her house after a day, he's looking all sad. And she was like, what's wrong now? What happened? And then he was just basically was like, I don't know. I can't win. Like, I don't know how to make you happy. And we're just not, it's just not like it was in Paris.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, little thing. Because I might cry if I talk about this girl. This is the saddest part.
No.
This is the saddest part of the whole story.
So he's like, it's not the same like it was, and pretty much, I don't know how much detail you wanted me to go into, but pretty much they were like, we can't do this, like this gotta stop, like a lot has happened, it's not the same anymore, like we're done.
Right. So basically, he was trying to break up with her, but he wasn't trying to break up with her. And she was like, no. And they
Right.
are crying. Both of them are crying at this time because
Right.
he was like, I can't make you happy. I don't know what can make you happy. I don't know how to
Mm-hmm.
contract. I just don't know anymore. And she was just like, you know what? I'm just going to break up with you because you can't break up with me.
Right. I'll take care of it for the both of us, so
Right.
let's just call it what it is.
Right. And so,
So
go ahead, girl.
so they're both struggling because, as every story, they break up and their worlds are just rocked.
Girl, this
And
was the worst like breakup though that I have read.
this, yeah,
It
I
was
would
so
say the
sad. It
same.
was just so sad.
Like, they are both going through it. Like,
Because they was in love, like in love.
yeah.
Oh yeah,
And
because they had started telling each other they loved each other by then. They
yep.
skipped that whole part.
Yep, they sure did. So there's a point where, we kind of said at the beginning that he told her that he loved her and she was freaking out. Well, at a certain point, she ended up realizing, like, man, I actually do love this boy. So she starts telling him she loves him too, and they just tell each other they love each other all the time.
Yeah.
So they are really like, their feelings have truly evolved from one another, even
Right.
though they had only dated for a couple of months. They've known each other for years, and their feelings for each other have actually been there for a long time.
Right.
So they struggled through this breakup. Like, this is like Lisa was saying, this is probably one of the saddest
It was
breakup.
so sad because she was like, I'm breaking up with you, Jun Jungkook. He was like, no, don't say that. They was both crying. She was like, we
Yeah.
have to. He was like, no. It was just sad,
It
girl.
was sad. Like, it was like, I don't know, it was like the breakup was sad, and then the aftermath was really sad.
Girl, it was so sad and depressing. And then he left. And then immediately after he left, she called her soulmate. And
Mm-hmm.
she said, I just broke up with JK. And Jen instantly says, I'm down the street. Do you want me to talk to you while I'm walking over there? And she was like,
Mm-hmm.
no, but thank you. And he was like, I'll be there in like 4 minutes.
Right. That is a true friend. He was like, I'm on my way, girl.
Yes.
Aw.
So Jen comes over there and he just holds her. And
She just
she just cries the whole
cries and
time. Cause
cries.
they in love. They devastated,
Right.
girl.
And realistically, like there wasn't anything really like, well, I can't even say that. I was gonna say there wasn't anything really wrong with the relationship, but there was just a lot surrounding it, and I think that's what made it really hard
Right. And I
to try
think,
to stay together.
yeah, but you know what the thing was that JK started actually liking that girl.
Yeah, which was really messed
And
up
he
because it's
knew that
like,
it was messed up. And he knew he was happy with her, but feeling horrible at the same time. Because he could not
right.
make her the love of his life happy.
And it was probably I was thinking about this too. He probably felt like it was probably a lot more freeing, and I think that's why he started to like her because he was
Yeah.
able to be out in public and not have to worry about sneaking around. He could just be.
Yeah. And he was actually happy when he was with her.
Right, which wasn't the plan.
Right.
But I also felt bad for the girl because I'm like, you know, you already know what this is, but feelings are feelings. You can't help how you feel.
Right. That girl had already liked him though.
Well, yeah, she liked him before it was like started. She
Yeah.
had a crush on him.
Right.
So, um, I forgot where we were at.
So Jen came over there. He come for her.
Oh yeah,
Just went out for a couple of days.
so sad.
Mm-hmm.
This is as you would put it, sit in the house thinking.
Yep, sitting in her thinking and stuff, girl. Every story like that, ain't it?
Yeah, yeah, it is.
So after that, I think she just kind of start getting over it a little more. JK was doing his thing, but still asking about her. But Jen would never tell him anything.
And he extended the contract with Emma.
Girl, that made me want to punch JK in the face.
Girl,
I was so
I was
mad at him
like,
for that.
what?
Like, why did he do that?
Yeah, he extended that thing right on out because he was like, all right, well, I mean, I guess he was trying to cope, and they felt some type of way. And remember him and Jen got in. Well, I can't say they got into a fight because I think he said Jen told him at the beginning that if he ever hurt the girl, he would beat his ass.
Yeah.
And so
And Jen did. Jen punched him right on in the eye.
mm-hmm. So,
And
but yeah,
she asked him, "Did you fight back?" He said, "Do you see a black eye?"
okay, I can totally see him say that. You see this face?
Yeah, right.
Do I look like I got hit?
Exactly.
This worldwide handsomeness?
Right.
No, I did not.
Mm-hmm.
Cause he know he deserved it. So,
So Jen
uh,
takes her out. Remember?
yeah,
Right. So Jen takes her out. He was like, she's kind of starting to get over it, but still not got over it. And Jen takes
right.
her out. He was like, we're gonna have a nice dinner. We're gonna have some drinks. We're gonna. And so, they're having a good time and they start talking about dessert. And she was like, I'm full. I don't want no dessert. And he was like, you going to eat this dessert? We're going to have dessert. And so she was like, well, let me go to the bathroom. So she goes to the bathroom and she sees a girl on her phone looking at footage of JK and Emma kissing.
So sad.
Girl, why she do that? So she came back. She was like, can we get dessert to go? He was like, yeah, but what's wrong? They didn't talk about it at all. Got in the cab,
Mm-hmm.
went all the way home. Then that's when she told him what happened. And she like felt herself about to have a panic attack, but never having that panic attack.
Right.
And so,
Poor girl went through a lot. And then, like, she just as she's like kind of getting to a point where she's okay, then she find that happens, and she had already been drinking.
right.
So
Now, this is
anyway,
how
go ahead.
deep that love is, though. Like, she was really,
Mm-hmm.
But so,
Sick. She was sick.
yeah, so, Jen was like, are you okay? She was like, yeah, I feel myself having a panic attack, but I haven't had one. So, they get dressed for bed. They go to bed. He spooned her. She wakes up in the middle of the night having a full-on panic attack. in the middle of the night. Oh my gosh, that got to be horrible. And he
Right.
comforts her, tell her to breathe, relax, all this stuff, and that she's coming out of that panic attack. She kisses Jen because at this time point, she just want to feel something other than what she's been feeling.
Exactly. Exactly.
And so
Oh.
Jen was like, Jen kissed her back because it's
Right.
Jen. You okay?
Right. Right.
And so Jen kisses her back or whatever, and then like she ready to get it on at this point, like because like I said, she's ready to feel
Right.
something other than the pain she's been feeling. And so Jen was like,
Mhm.
"No, I can't let you do that." And she was like, "Why?" He was like, "Cause we can have sex all day and it'd be nothing to me, but it'll be everything to you."
Right. And I don't want to
Right.
ruin this.
And so
So
they
they
don't.
don't.
They go
They
back to
don't.
bed, and she loves Jen so much because she just can't understand why Jen just is so good to her. But Jen he really is really good to her.
Yeah, he really is. Like, he's a solid dude because he could have easily just been like,
Yep,
all
could have
right,
had that person.
and that would have been that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but
Right.
he didn't.
And so they go back to bed, and then when Jen wakes up the next morning, she's written him. Isn't this the next morning? She wrote him a
Yeah,
letter and
yeah.
basically told him that she loved him, that she thanked him for everything he's done for her, but she has to go. Like she can no longer stay there.
She can't.
She don't know.
When I initially read it, I was like, oh no, I thought it was something
Girl, I
way
thought she was about
different.
to commit suicide.
I did too. And I was like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And then I kept reading. I was like, oh,
Yeah, good time.
okay. Still
Yeah,
sad, but like not as sad as I thought it was gonna
right.
get. But yeah, she was like, I can't do this. I gotta go. And she bounced. And she didn't tell him where she was going initially.
Now
She was
she
just
didn't
like,
know where
I'll
she was
like
going. She was said she would tell him when she found out,
right.
but she wanted him to pack
So
her belongings,
all of her
put off.
stuff and rent out her house,
Yeah,
right?
she
Her
had already
apartment.
talked to some type of management or something that would lease out her apartment while she was gone, so she could have that income coming in.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But she left. Yeah,
So he doesn't he tell the other members, but he doesn't tell JK or
he
he
does, but I think he tells JK, but he tells her he doesn't tell her where she's at because she finds when he finds out when she lands, she eventually does tell Jen. So Jen knows about
yeah,
what's
well
going. Like he
yeah.
keeps in touch with her the whole time, and the
Right.
members know, but
Right.
they would none. They all promised not to tell JK anything about what's going on with her. Period. Yeah. So she ended up like going all across the world. She was like in Bangkok and
Yeah, in
Malaysia,
Bali, I think. Yeah.
everywhere. And then she ended up in New York City.
New York. Mm-hmm.
And
She got a job. She got a
yeah.
place.
And then
She out there
right.
living.
And at this time JK is like still involved with Emma.
Which, like,
I'm mad at
anyway, go
JK
ahead.
about this girl. I ain't gonna lie.
Me
Because
too.
he not only had got with her, he extended that freaking contract. Then he started sleeping with her on the real. Like it was a
Right.
whole thing. But
It was like a legit relationship at this
right, but he
point,
was like not feeling her. He was just trying. He was just doing
trying to pass the
right,
time.
right. So
And Jen, so there's a part because they're kind of like seeing all this unfold with him and Emma, and Jen felt like he didn't care, but when old girl like left and JK didn't know like where she was at and all that, he could see that he still cared about her, and that's kind of, I don't want to say that's what he was like hoping for, but that was kind of what he was hoping
yeah,
for.
because so much stuff had went down with BTS at that point. Like they were
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
beefing. They did not talk to each other. They were not like brothers. Like JK was doing his own
Mm-hmm.
thing. Like they were just not like him and Jen just did not talk at all.
At all. Yeah, they had no words for each other because I feel like every time Jen saw him, he wanted to
Yeah, and then they
fight.
got into another
Like,
fight. Remember? And then he started telling
yeah,
Jen,
they
"Well, you're
did.
just jealous of me."
Yeah, talking about some because I have her.
Yeah.
First of all, anyway. Anyway, I was like, the nerve. You don't have her.
Right. So, So after that, after a while, JK come knocking at Jen door.
Mm-hmm.
And Jen tells him to come in and surprised that it's JK because he have not talked to JK in a minute by now. And
Right. By this
JK
point.
says, just tell me where she is. I need to know where she is. And he said, I'm not telling you. And he was like, well, why? Why can't you
Mm-hmm.
tell me? He was like, because she's living her life and you living your life. And when you ready to be done with Emma and you break up with her and you quit sleeping with her, then I will tell you where she is when the time comes.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, why can't you tell me now? And then he basically explained it to him again. When the time
Mm-hmm.
comes and you do all this, first thing first, quit sleeping with her. Cause she
Right.
all in love with you. Like you need to just break it off.
Right.
That's the first thing you need to do. And he explained to him that he sleep with her, but it's like no love there. It's just like no emotional attachment. Not especially not the way how they her and the girl
Ha-
sex life was like
yeah.
crazy intimate.
But the thing was like, and so Jim was trying to explain, like, yeah, your feelings for her may not be that, but her feelings for you are. And you're not about to keep doing this with her. How I feel about her or not, you're not about to keep doing this
Right.
to her. And you're not about to get my best friend involved in those shit because you haven't ended things with
Right.
Emma. So, man, he was a solid dude in this
Yeah, it
story,
was.
man.
I love him.
I kinda was hoping that they were gonna end up together. I'm not even gonna
Not me, girl.
lie.
No, you know how I feel.
I know. But he really had her. Like he had her back.
Yeah, he was just a really
He
good
re-
friend, but you know what? I could see Jen being this really good friend.
Yeah, that's true.
So after that, JK proceeded to just do everything that Jen told him to do over time. And
Mhm.
at this time, they was getting ready to go back on tour.
Mhm.
And so while they were on tour, they end up going to New York. We might have been
Mhm.
that girl at MetLife, so I felt like that was around that time.
You're right. I was like, this is kind of cool because I could see this being around the same time.
Right.
Go ahead.
So while they there, Jen was just telling him, "Are you ready?" And he was like, "Ready for what?" To see her. Oh gosh. So then that's when he figured
Girl.
out, oh, she's in New York City. And
Mhm.
so, they have their little the concert at MetLife that we were there. And
Mhm.
then after that, he like goes and gets flowers because he ain't about to show up empty handed at her door. And he goes to
Right.
her door and she's shocked to see him.
Mhm.
And she's just surprised to see him. And she invites him in and he was like, oh, you got beer? Because I was drinking, and she was like, "Oh, I don't have beer, but we can go down here to the bar." And I
Mhm.
was thinking in my head, "Oh, everybody gonna see them," but this is New York. Everybody blend in.
I thought the same thing too, but then I'm like, wait, they're still well, I don't know.
I don't know, but like I said, people like us, big, big, big fans, we know.
Right.
But there's still a lot of people out here that don't know.
That's true. I just, before you get to the rest of this, when she let him in, I was very surprised because like after all that transpired, I mean, I know she's had time to kind of like get over it. She's had time to heal and things like that. So she probably didn't have any of that same anger that she had at the beginning or the same hurt.
Mm-hmm.
But like then seeing him, that like some of that would have come back.
You would have
You
been angry
think?
still.
Yeah, like because you'd be like, "Wow, you really showing up at my door with these flowers, thinking it's gonna be all cool." Like, what do you have to say to me? Like, we really don't have nothing to talk about.
But they did talk, and they was just that much in love.
I know they did talk, but I'm just saying, like, I don't know if I would have been so willing to let him come in and talk and like talk. I mean, I don't know. Maybe
I
they were
don't
really in
know.
love.
They were very much in love. They was like deep,
Yeah,
deep in love.
that's
And
true.
I would want to hear what he had to say too.
I guess that's true to get some answers because he tried it.
Right.
He tried.
He did, but you know what? She always knew that it was gonna happen that way.
And and she still went out on the limb and was like, we'll see how this goes. Like, I'll try it with him anyway, knowing at the end of the day that it would never work.
Hmm.
Hmm.
And so they went down to this bar. They had drinks or whatever, and they was like, they had like 3 or 4 drinks, and I was like, we got to go.
Hmm.
But then but remember now, she been doing her thing. She ain't been like just chill. She didn't had friends. She didn't slept with
Yep.
people and all
Mhm.
kind of stuff. And then she was like really involved with this one guy, and she could not be with him. Like he would not be with her. And JK kept I mean he kept thinking about, well, why did he not want to be with her or whatever? And she told him it's because what she said to him. Well, he kept thinking, well, what was it that she said? What did she say?
Mhm.
And so he thought about that all the way back to her apartment. And then once they got back to the apartment, they done all this talking. And he asked her what was it that, that she said. And she said she would never not love him.
Mhm.
Like she loved him that much. It was so sweet.
It was so sweet, but it was so
Mhm.
sad because it's like you really are out here trying to live your best life, and you're stuck on this man that you will never be able to get past. That sucks. That sucks. I mean, it's great when it works out. It's really cute and it's really beautiful. But when it doesn't, and you're just stuck on. Clearly, I'm upset about this because I'm living from experience, or talking from experience. I'm like, when you're stuck on somebody that you can't be with, or like whatever, you're just like, damn, this really
Right.
sucks. Don't mind me. I'm
Okay.
just working through my
It's
own
okay,
trauma.
girl. It's okay.
Okay, go
So
ahead.
they end up talking, and they basically end up having sex and getting back together real quick, like with the quickness,
Yeah,
like real
real
quick.
quick. Mm-hmm.
And then what happened after that? They was together. He
He he
basically told her that he would
he pretty
move to New York.
Yeah, he said he would move to New York, and she's like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, you have a house here, you have a life here. Like, I can do that where I can I can move out here."
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of
No,
that's
no,
kind of
that's
the
not
end.
the end. No.
It's not. He talks about
He talks
moving.
about moving,
He talks
and
about
then she was like,
moving.
"No, I was gonna move. I was gonna eventually move back home anyway." Oh, but you
Wait,
know what?
oh, there
Hey,
was
let
some.
me tell you this. We forgot about the parents. So parents basically the
Oh, I
parents
forgot about the
basically cut her off
parents.
for real when she was back in Korea before she even started traveling, and she saw an email, and the
Mm-hmm.
email basically was her parents' lawyer telling her that they had cut all ties with her. She had no ties to their
Like,
yeah,
their state
yeah.
or their
Like they had nothing to
yeah,
do with her anymore. She tried to call them, the phone was disconnected. Like they had nothing to do with her anymore.
which was really
Yeah,
messed up. Like, wow, was it that
right.
deep?
So anyway, so
But
going back.
whatever.
So he tells her he'll move there. And she was like, no, I was gonna move back to Korea anyway. That's my home. I was gonna move back there anyway. So
Mm-hmm.
they end up going back to Korea.
Oh, you know what? I didn't read the epilogue. I just
Okay, so
realized
let me tell
that.
you.
Yeah.
So
I just realized
so they
that.
end up going back to Korea, and JK basically let it be known that this is his girl. Like they're together in the public eye by now. He don't care what nobody think. He let it be known because he had such like a sweet way of showing it, because that night when he was in New York with her, on the way to New York, BTS put this whole like video together, this new GCF. And y'all
Mm-hmm.
know about GCF, right? And
Mm-hmm.
he in the GCF was titled Beautiful Little Secret. And it was basically all these images of her with all the different members and them laughing and cutting up with her from day one to all the way to when she recorded. Remember, I don't know if we didn't explain this, but she recorded some stuff in New York for him when he was sick
Mm-hmm.
and all that stuff. And just all this different footage, and he had beautiful music playing that Namjoon gave him a song, and he recorded some music. It was like some new music, and he made it beautiful, like a new GCF, of it. And it was so
Oh.
beautiful. And so anyway, so they end up, he ended up posting that because CGN was with it. Like CJ was like, yeah, we like everybody loved her. And so
Yeah.
CJ gave JK the Twitter password
Mhm.
to upload that on there, because evidently in the book the uploads go like they may take the pictures and do all that, but in the book they don't upload their own stuff. So
Mhm.
CJ gave him the password to upload that GCF on there. No, it wasn't the Twitter, it was the their YouTube.
YouTube.
And so he loaded it up on YouTube, and that's when everybody seen the truth. And that's when he basically was telling Bang PD he didn't care nothing about what he was talking about. He was gonna be with this girl. He loved her, and that's just what it was. Because he
Mhm.
publicly broke up with Emma too, right before that.
Mhm. Which wasn't part of the agreement initially, because remember it was supposed to be like a silent
Mm-hmm.
breakup, but there also wasn't supposed to be an extension. So there was like a whole bunch of stuff that happened that wasn't
Right.
supposed to.
And so they end up going back to Korea. They was like in love, being together. And in the story, I think we forgot to mention also that remember she started making pie crust and stuff. She
Oh
started doing
yeah.
yeah,
Cause she started baking
right.
and
And Jen was
cooking
right, and Jen
again.
was like, "Is this what you're doing now?" It's like, "This your new job?" And she was like, "I don't know," but it ended up being something that she really loved, because when she was in New York, that's the type of job she was doing. She was working in
Mhm.
baking stuff. So when she went back to Korea, she they after a while they all was her investors. BTS was like her investors. They
Dope.
helped her open up this huge like bakery, and she had this whole bakery thing. And so it was like a big success. Everybody helped her, build it up, and everything was good. And then Bang PD, this how they got back good was like he ended up sending her flowers and saying he was proud of her, because before that he had already came to her like when she was like depressed and stuff and still was in Korea before she left, and he was like,
Mhm.
"Oh, you should, you did so well with this breakup. You should do a business in this." And she was like, "How dare you? The nerve
Right, the
of you to
nerve.
come here and offer me a job on my loss with my boyfriend that I love so much." So
Right.
she turned that job down, which she couldn't make money. And honey, I wouldn't turn it down. I'm just saying.
I mean, at all. I'm like, all right, and I start on Monday, or
Right. And still kept doing my thing. But
okay.
and so she got flowers from Bang PD, and he was basically just saying how he was sorry how it took place, and he shouldn't have did it like that, and how good she was, at baking. And then she just decided that she was just gonna call it what it was, and she was just gonna be good to him too. So she sent him a
Mhm.
box of cookies, and that was just like her new like business thing, and she made a lot of money doing that.
Hmm. I don't know how I missed the epilogue, because I do know how I missed it, because when I got to the last chapter, it was like, all right, thank you guys so much for reading, and I was like,
Yeah,
oh, okay.
yeah. I wasn't gonna read the epilogue either, but I ended up reading it. But they end up just being together, and loving each other. That was basically,
That's
yeah, that was
cute.
basically the end of the story. It was really good.
I liked the story. I really did. I thought it was entertaining. It had drama, but it wasn't like the crazy drama. Me and Lisa were talking about this
Hmm.
earlier, how some of the stories that we've read have like crazy drama where you have people turning into
Right.
things, and people like getting shot and killed, and car accidents and things like that. And it's like this one was just kind of like this was
Yeah, it was
tame
soft.
drama. Yeah, and it was a beautiful story, and it had like a lot of smut, even though it was kind of like the how things went down was really kind of shitty, but like they were really, really in love with each
Yes, they really
other.
were. And y'all know I live for good JK and love smut love story.
So how did you feel about it
Girl, I
overall?
love this story. It was so good to me. I was initially mad at JK for doing so many dumb things, but I also have to remember that he was very young and that
Mhm.
he was doing young minded things. And he actually
Mhm.
was just like learning as he go. He had to be taught by his brothers and her at the same time.
Mhm.
So, initially I just loved it. I loved it. I loved the smut. Oh,
I
the
know you
smut
did.
was to die for. It was just so good. And it was so detailed. So yeah,
Mhm.
this was a really good story.
Definitely would
Yes,
recommend.
please read. Erin Brown Wright's Beautiful Little Secret.
Beautiful Little
Yes.
Secret. Yep. Oh, and I don't think I mentioned this. This is on AO3. I don't know if I mentioned that before. I forgot. I completely forgot. But yeah, definitely. So before I get this out, we've been getting recommendations from people, and a lot of the stories that have been recommended are on Tumblr. We are not Tumblr savvy, and we need help. Like, we don't know how to use Tumblr. We've tried to figure it out, and we're just not completely sure. So if you are one of those people who listen to us and know how to use Tumblr, if you could like maybe send us an email, a little tutorial or something that we could try to figure this out, because we would love to read these stories. We know there's a lot of them on there, and we want to check them out. So if you could go ahead and send us a good little email at doyoureadbts@yahoo.com, that would be great. You can hit us up. You can hit us up on Instagram. You can DM us. You can also hit us up on Twitter. But yeah, that would be super helpful because we just want to be able to enjoy all these stories that are being recommended, and we are having a hard time.
Yeah, because initially, like, we can get on there and we know how to get on there. But as far as getting on there and trying to find it and saving where we were at when we started it, we don't know how to do that part.
Right. I don't know if we can get to chapter. Like, I just don't know.
Is there an easier way to do it?
Yeah, if there's an easier way to get to these, please let us know because we're just a little bit challenged when it comes to this. So if you're like 18 or like 21 or something and know how to do it, we're in our 30s and we can't figure it out. So thanks. The struggle is very real.
Help the Nunas out, okay?
Help us out, please. And if you're a Nuna and you're like, girl, it is so simple to use, tell us. Yes. Tell us the secret. Yeah.
I mean, because when we first went to AO3, we had the same problem. We figured it out pretty fast how to do it. So
that's true.
You guys help us out with Tumblr, we'll be all right. We can read some of those stories because we got good recommendations. We just don't know how to work it like we want to.
Exactly. And definitely keep sending those recommendations to us. You guys have not let us down with these recommendations. Like, they have been A1 for real. So thank y'all for that.
But but guys, we have been getting a pretty good Namjoon, JK, and Jimmy. So if you got some that's the rest of the OT7, send those too, because we want to read those too.
Yeah, we want to read everybody. They don't have to be Namjoon or JK stories. They can definitely be other stories. We want to make sure we get a good variety. So help us, please. All right, guys. Well, we will see you next time. Thank you for tuning in to another episode.
You. Bye.
Bye.